miles, Fox 3 MiG 29. Fox 3. 1 is defensive north. Recommend. Tally MiG 29, recommend. Missile launch MiG 29. Lock him up. Fox 3. That's a splash MiG 29.
Contact setting now 8149.
Taliban, Fox 2. Contact Marshal. .303 inbound.
Alright, so let's quickly talk through the Tacview for that fight. We are obviously going to be focusing on the battle that happens to the east here. So I'm flying the lead Hornet, and going into this battle, my thought process initially is that I will engage the escort fighters, which I do here, and my goal is to try to either take them out or push them away, keep them busy, and hopefully my wingman will be able to come in from the back and have a clear shot on the strike aircraft. So I fire here at just about 20 miles. I'm actually firing from higher up than they are. My thought process is I wanted to fire first, and I'm hoping that right as they launch the first Fox 1s, my missiles are going to go pitbull on them and push them defensive and hopefully make them lose lock, and that's gonna give me the safety to keep on pushing in. So that actually goes pretty well. So I fire here at about 14 miles. The first MiG fires on me, Fox 1. I get a warning on my RWR, and so you see that I'm actually a bit nervous here. So I actually drop my altitude a bit, and I actually start to pull away in case they weren't going to break lock. But they did eventually. You can see that my missile has basically pushed the lead MiG completely cold, and so I stopped receiving the RWR warning. I could also tell that only one R27 was likely fired because R27s put out a lot of smoke. You can kind of tell visually how many R27s have been fired. So I was feeling quite safe to turn back to the fight at this point. So I do keep pushing them, and interestingly, both missiles end up going for the wingman. Oddly enough, what the lead does is a very aggressive defensive dive here, and he actually fails to pull up in time, so he actually hits the water. There you go. So that's the first casualty of the battle, and at about 8 miles, I fire another AMRAAM at the wingman, and honestly 8 miles is almost point blank distance for an AMRAAM. So this is a very dangerous missile, and I actually turned over to fire one at the lead as well. I didn't know that he hit the water. I still had his contact on my radar, so I went ahead and shot at AMRAAM, but that was a waste of time. Meanwhile, for the wingman, interestingly enough, he manages to evade all 3 missiles. I think in this fancy loop that he did, he must have managed to notch all 3 missiles at some point. So he evades the missiles, but some of the missiles actually reacquire, as you can see, on some of the strikers. So one of the missiles actually end up taking out one of the strikers. So that was an unintended kill on my part. But the first phase of the fight has pretty much gone well. Right, as you can see, one of the escort MiGs were taken out, and the other escort is completely defensive, down on the deck, and basically turned away from us. So my wingman basically comes in uncontested, and you can see that he actually started firing some AMRAAMs of his own. And so in the time that I bought him, by taking out one MiG and pushing the other MiG all the way to the back here, my wingman manages to take out 2 of the strike fighters here. So that's one AMRAAM, boom, Fox 2, boom. He also fires one AMRAAM at this guy here. I think that's also pretty useful because at this point I'm recommitting, and it means that this guy won't be able to come in at a blind spot or something to hit me because he's too busy dodging this missile. So picking up the story again from where I was pulling away to the side here, I look back at this point, and with my helmet mounted sight and the data link, I could see that there was still a surviving MiG-29 somewhere in this vicinity. So I start recommitting. So the MiG-29 manages to recover, and he actually gets nose on and fires on my wingman, Fox 1. So I actually see the smoke plume from this missile launch, and that's where I immediately try to pull into him, thinking that I want to push him away, push him to lose lock, because I wasn't sure how far away my wingman was. So his survival may depend on me doing something about the MiG-29. I fired the Fox 3 before even getting nose on, but in these distances, 6 miles, you don't actually need to be nose on. So there you go. The Fox 3 does end up hitting the MiG, but rather comically here, I fire one more just as the Fox 3 was hitting, because I was just thinking that the Fox 3 was taking a while to hit and I was worried that it missed. But, well, it's just because the missile had to do an extra turn because I fired before I got nose on. So at this point, I see the MiG going down and I start turning away again because I wasn't sure if there were any more threats over here, so I didn't want to just fly straight into it. But I turn around and I actually see this guy flaring. So I don't know why he was flaring, but thanks to the flares, I actually spotted him. So I locked him with my helmet, did a Fox 2, I turned away in case he had nose on, but he didn't. And these are really good launch parameters for Fox 2 9X, so that hits him square in the face. I turn around, I see a black column of smoke, and I know that that was a splash, and that was the end of the battle.